Hi, everybody. Welcome to Read It Again Bookstore. And today we're doing a choose your own event. Choose your own adventure event with Kyandreia Jones. Hey, how's it going?
Hello, how you doing, Kim?
Okay, so you've written, I'm going to save my favorite page here. You've written 2 choose your own adventures, right?
Yes.
Yes. Can you, wait, okay, we were talking about this before. So this one, your latest one is Mary Bauer. Okay,
Mary
I'm
Bauer,
gonna
yes.
read a line from this book. Unless this was something you planned on reading.
Oh, you can read it.
Okay, cool. The year is 1864, during the height of the American Civil War, and you are Mary Bauer, trained spy and natural foe of every evildoer, villain, and criminal mastermind. I don't know if that's not going to catch you right away. I don't know what will. So, who was Mary Bauer?
So Mary Bowser was a active spy during this American Civil War. She worked alongside this Virginia woman named Elizabeth Bette Van Loo. Sorry, I was a tongue twister. She was like this rich Northern woman in Richmond, Virginia, who played a crucial role in the Union Army, getting intel about the Confederates, because Bette was in Virginia, so on along enemy lines. She was in the Confederacy lines, but she always believed in the Union's cause. She believed in the idea of freedom, and her family actually owned Mary Bowser, but then Elizabeth helped her gain her freedom. And after Mary gained her freedom, she was educated, and after she was educated, she was called back to the United States from Liberia to help Bette in her spy ring. So Mary played a crucial role in Bette gaining intel on the Confederates by having Mary go into the Confederate White House, President of the Confederacy Jefferson Davis. And in that White House, the Confederate White House, Mary gained intel on President Davis, First Lady Verena Davis, and she came back to Bette and said, hey, this is what I found out about all these, Civil War stratagem for the Confederates. So she and Bette kind of worked together. And it was a very unique friendship in that Mary is Black and Bette was white, but they were almost like sisters. And it was really amazing, sort of just the shared respect and intelligence and courage that kind of made their friendship work, but also made them really great spies and really great assets to the Union Army.
That is so cool. Okay. Now, who is James Armistead Lafayette?
Yes, so James Armistead Lafayette was my first subject. His book came out May 1st, 2019, so a year before Mary Bowser. And James Armistead Lafayette is an incredible, real historical figure. They're both very real. And he worked alongside General Marquis de Lafayette of France. If you're a big fan of Hamilton the musical, you know Lafayette. He also worked alongside General George Washington. You might have heard of that guy. So he worked alongside these 2 very historical men who are always captured in history, and he helped America gain its independence by collecting information about the Battle of Yorktown. For those of you who know history, that's the battle that ultimately won the war. So he played a crucial role in America's independence, and yet we don't know his name. So the beauty of working and writing these choose your adventure books is the fact that I get to bring these heroes and this shiro to the forefront of our consciousness about history and say, like, hey, these guys, Washington, Lafayette, Ulysses S. Grant, Abraham Lincoln, like, these 2 figures, Mary Bowser and James Armistead Lafayette, were around during the same time as these people we know so readily. And so it's really incredible to bring both of them to the forefront. And it was fun to write 2 very different books. In that James Armistead Lafayette, there's not a lot of history about him because he was an enslaved person. They both were. But James in particular had a lot less information about him to be found. So I had a lot of liberty in writing his character. Versus Mary Bowser, there's a lot more text about her because she worked alongside, like I said, Elizabeth Bette Van Loo. And Bette Van Loo was able to write her own diary and pin sort of her journey as a ringmaster, a spy, sort of a leader. And so Mary's history is more recorded. So it's really interesting to see how history is sort of balanced with fiction in both books, because Mary has more grounding in history. Her book is slightly more, it takes history more seriously than in James at certain points.
Very cool. Okay, do you want to do a reading?
Yes, I would love to do a reading of Mary Bowser.
Okay. Get some water first. Gotta hydrate.
Awesome. So I'll be reading from Choose Your Own Adventure Spies, Mary Bowser. by yours truly, Kyandreia Jones. And I'm going to need your help to read this book. So for those of you who do not know, a Choose Your Own Adventure book is a game book in which you are the main character of the story and you get to decide what happens from beginning to ends in this story. And Kim did a beautiful job reading a snippet of Mary Bowser and saying that you, right, you are the natural foe of every evildoer, villain, and criminal mastermind. And you'll see that line again when I read the book. And I'm going to need your help choosing. So when I get to a choice, I'll stop, I'll look at you, and you'll be able to choose in your comment section. And then Kim will let me know, and we'll go to wherever you decide, or wherever most of you decide. Awesome. So like all good books, this book will begin on page 1. You will not be bested by a tree. You tighten your grip on the willow oak tree's lowest branch, using your arms to pull your whole body up. You can do this, you whisper to yourself. Rain begins to fall. You wipe the moisture from your face. You can see the second-story window slightly open just like you left it. As you reach up to grab another branch, you step on your long purple dress and your feet fly out from under you. Luck and your upper arm strength are all that save you from falling 70 feet to your death. It's a wonder that women accomplish anything in this horrible garb, you think, sucking your teeth in frustration. This rainy summer night in Richmond, Virginia, is not the first night that you have had this thought. It is also not the first night that you have climbed this willow oak tree outside the Confederate White House. The year is 1864, during the height of the American Civil War, and you are Mary Bowser, trained spy and the natural foe of every evildoer, villain, and criminal mastermind. For this reason, you were called upon by members of the Union League, an abolitionist secret society, to infiltrate the Confederate White House, disguised as a servant in the household. As a former enslaved person turned renowned spy, you were thrilled to spy on the President of the Confederacy, Jefferson Davis. You hope you can end this gruesome war. Every night that you are able, you sneak out of the Confederate White House to meet your friend, Bet Van Loo. Bet advises you on your mission and shares all the intel that you have gathered on President Davis with the Union League. Bet is one of the smartest, fiercest, and bravest people you know. Bet has to be intelligent, powerful, and courageous because she is one of the few people in Virginia who is against the Confederates. You and Bet both take a great risk by meeting. Because you are not white like Bet is, the consequences if you are caught are much more severe. But you are always careful. You sneak out of the house when everyone is asleep. This method has worked for you for the past 3 months that you've been spying. The only complaint that you have is the stubborn, enormous willow oak tree. You must climb it to return to your room on the second floor unnoticed. Enslaved people are not allowed to wander around the White House grounds, and they are certainly not allowed to be out past curfew without the permission of President Davis. You take the bottom of your wet, muddy dress and tie it into a knot, freeing your feet from the long, flowy material. That should help, you think, wiping your muddy hands on the damp fabric. You hoist yourself up the last few branches until your hand clasps the wooden window frame. And here we have our shiro, Mary Bowser, climbing to get to that second window, the window on the second floor. And this art is by Jason Millett. You crawl through the open window, entering the room feet first. Once inside the room, you close the window behind you and breathe a sigh of relief. You made it. You're about to change out of your muddy dress when you hear the sound of someone striking a match. The faint warm glow of a candle's light illuminates the dark room. Your body goes cold. You are not alone. You turn around to see another black woman standing in the middle of your room. It does not take long to recognize the short, full-figured woman standing in her long white dress and white hair bonnet. Her name is Arena, and she is President Davis' head house servant. Arena is the person that you answer to for all your chores and duties. You've always kept your distance from her because of her assertive, bossy attitude. You cannot avoid her now. You stand frozen, feeling panic spread through your body. What am I going to do? What will Arena think of me sneaking around at night? Will she tell President Davis? And how do I get out of this? You wonder. Your heartbeat drums in your ears. Boom, 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 boom. You are so overwhelmed with emotion that you almost do not notice the sword in Arena's hands. Here we have Arena, her candle, and the sword. Wait a second. The bronze hilt, the 6-inch smooth silver blade, the word pointy etched into the central ridge of the sword. You know that sword. You look down at the floor where you hid your sword and suck in your breath at the sight of the missing floorboard. Oh no! Arena has found your secret stash. You stare at your black trousers, your black boots, and your black blouse, all the belongings that connect you to the spy world. Your diamond encrusted mask rests on the floor, too. Adrenaline rushes through your veins. Suddenly, your arms are no longer tired from the 70-foot climb. Who are you? Asks Arena, breaking the painful silence. I mean, who are you really? Why are you here in this house? It is the worst question that anyone could ask a spy. If you tell Arena who you are, you also have to tell her what you are doing in the Confederate White House. You can endanger your whole mission. Some spot art on the mask. But Arena is an enslaved person. There's a chance that she will keep your secret and support your mission. After all, the intelligence that you gather may be used to both end the war and abolish slavery. Why would she jeopardize the freedom that she would gain if you are left to your spying? If I were you, I would not lie to me, adds Arena, watching you rack your brain for a solution. I may not have experience with this here sword, but I do know which side is the sharp end. If you answer the question honestly and reveal your secret, we'll go to page 9. If you protect your mission and try to reason, we'll go to page 16. Again, if you answer the question honestly and reveal your secret, we'll go to page 9. If you protect your mission and try to reason with Arena, we'll go to page 16. Reveal your secret, page 9. Try to reason with Arena, we'll go to page 16. So now you're making some choices, people. So 9 or 16, where are we going next? You gotta vote for 16. Another 16. Another 16. Okay, we'll go to page 16. We're going to try to reason with Arena. You must protect your mission at all costs. You take a step forward, hoping to reason with Arena. Your movement animates her. She springs into action, pointing the sword at your neck. Ah, 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 warns Arena, holding the blade an inch away from your throat. Not another step. In the candlelight, Arena's face is still. Maybe she's bluffing. You stand tall, planting your bare feet onto the wooden floor. You feel mud squish between your toes. I knew something was strange about you from the moment that you stepped foot on these grounds, says Arena. You are not who you say you are. Arena, you start, staring down the tip of your sword. I am who I have been for the past 3 months. A hard worker, a loyal woman. Please put down the sword. Not a chance, retorts Arena. You sigh. It is hard to reason with someone when they have the upper hand. You are losing patience. You are exhausted from your climb and you would like to change out of your disgusting purple dress. You watch Rena as her arm struggles under the weight of your sword. Though your sword is only 3 or 4 pounds, Arena has a hard time keeping it raised. It is obvious to you that she's never held one before. She clasps her hands over the hilt instead of gripping the handle as if she were shaking a hand. As an expert swordswoman, you are confident that you could retrieve your sword from Arena. Or you could simply move out of Arena's striking range so that you are no longer at risk of bodily injury. Either way, this ends now. If you choose to take back your sword, we'll go to the next page. If you choose to move out of striking range, we'll go to page 54. Again, if you choose to take back your sword, we'll go to the next page. If you choose to move out of striking range, we'll go to page 54. Take back your sword or move out of the way. If you choose to take back your sword, we'll go to the next page. If you choose to move out of striking range, we'll go to page 54. I'm seeing take back your sword, so we're going to the next page. You want your sword back. You duck under the blade and snatch the sword from Irina, clasping your hands around the hilt. You hold the sword with confidence, pointing it at Irina, who raises her arms in surrender. Not a step, you say, backpedaling to create distance between the two of you. Irina does not listen to your command. She flings the door open and runs out of your room with a speed that you do not expect. She races into the dark hallway, disappearing around the corner. Wow, that woman can move. You start to run after her, but you pause. You do not know the layout like Irina does. Irina has lived in the Confederate White House for years. She could hide in the building for days, and you would not find her. Though she does not know your true identity, Irina still poses a significant threat to your mission. What if she finds President Davis and tells him what she discovered? Leaving the Confederate White House while your identity remains intact might be the only way to salvage this mission. You have successfully delivered 3 months' worth of intel. 2 things are for sure. You cannot stay in your room, and you are running out of time. If you decide to leave the Confederate White House, we'll go to page 20. If you choose to find Irina and stop her from revealing your secret, we'll go to page 26. If you decide to leave the Confederate White House, we'll go to page 20. If you choose to find Irina and stop her from revealing your secret, we'll go to page 26. Leave, 20. Find Irina, 26. And here we have Mary with her sword. And that's Irina holding her hands up. Oh. 20 leave, 26 find Irina. Looks like we're going to find Irina. You have decided to find Irina. You must be cautious. We're taking a risk by leaving your room. The least you can do is appear normal. That means no sword, no spy gear, and no muddy dress. You return your sword and the rest of your belongings to their place beneath the floorboard. You change into a clean beige nightgown and straighten the colorful handkerchief on your head. You blow out the candle before leaving your room. An inexperienced spy might have raced after Irina without thinking, but you are not new to this game of pursuit. You tiptoe down the hallway, barely making a peep as you creep in the direction in which Irina fled. Irina has a head start, and she knows the Confederate White House better than you. You do not like being at a disadvantage, but it is in the moments like these, when your adrenaline is rushing and your heartbeat is racing, that you do your best work. Portraits of President Davis line the walls, watching you with steady, beady blue eyes. How many paintings does a man need of himself, you think? There are at least 20 portraits in this hallway, and all of them depict President Davis in moments of thought, valor, or elegance. It is amazing that a man can be a hero in one community and a villain in another. The President Davis that you know is not so thoughtful, brave, or elegant. The President Davis that you know believes that slavery is fair, acceptable, and necessary. For this reason, you do not support images of him as anything but stubborn, misguided, and closed-minded. For this reason, you do not support images of him as anything but stubborn, misguided, and closed-minded. You cannot shake the feeling that you are being studied, that someone or something lurks in the shadows, making note of your every move. Is this feeling a response to the night's strange turn of events? Or is that instinct locking you in place? And here we have Mary Bowser, walking down the hallway with all the President Davis portraits staring at her. If you try to ignore the feeling and focus on finding Irina, we'll go to the next page. If you trust your instincts and stop pursuing Irina, we'll go to page 76. So you feel like you're being watched, so we can either ignore the feeling and focus on finding Irina, we'll go to the next page, or we trust our instincts and stop pursuing Irina, page 76. Find Irina, next page. Stop finding Irina, 76. So we already have one to stop finding arena. All right, let's go to 76. You trust your instincts and stop pursuing arena. You cannot shake the feeling that you are being watched. You stand still. You squint your eyes to better assess your surroundings. You make out a tall figure standing menacingly on the other side of the dark hallway. Heh 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 heh, says a voice, covering your skin in a fresh layer of goosebumps. You recognize the creepy low chuckle. It belongs to President Davis' steward, Mr. Edward Egling. He is responsible for maintaining the White House grounds, tending to the horses, landscaping, and upholding the respectable appearance of the executive mansion. During the past 3 months that you have been spying in the Confederate White House, you and Mr. Egling have crossed paths several times, and each encounter has been increasingly unpleasant. "What are you doing out here?" questions Mr. Egling. It is too dark to see his face. However, you can hear a smile in his voice. He approaches you slowly, moving like a shadow. You move too, backpedaling 1 foot at a time. "You are out past curfew, Mary," says Mr. Egling. "What do you suppose President Davis will have to say about that?" You do not intend on finding out the answer to that question. Between Arena fleeing and being discovered by Mr. Egling, this whole night has been a disaster. You could cut your losses and make a break for it. Though a feeling of defiance comes over you as you stare down Mr. Egling's menacing silhouette. You resent the way he walks toward you, like a lion stalking a gazelle. You, Mary Bowser, are not prey. If you decide it's time to take down Mr. Egling, we'll go to page 124. If you choose to make a break for it, we'll go to page 126. Take down Mr. Egling, 124. Make a break for it, 126. What shall we do next? We have 1 vote for make a break for it. Another vote for make a break for it. All right, looks like we're making a break for it. You make a break for it. You back away from the tall man too quickly. You feel a sense of dread. You are too close to the tall staircase. Your foot snags the soft carpet near the stairs. Uh-oh. The trip propels you forward toward the steps. Before you can stop yourself, your momentum gets the best of you. Your body races for the impact as you noisily tumble down each step. Boom! You instinctively protect your head, tucking your chin down to your chest and placing your arms in front of your face. Bang! You turn as you fall, hoping to reduce the injury to your head, face, and arms. Bam! You keep your arms and legs bent, rolling into the fall like a crazed armadillo. Bonk! You finally land on your right side, colliding with the armchair near the staircase. You stand up, inspecting your body. Your right side hurts, but you are in one piece. You rub your bruised shoulder, thankful that you have a lot of experience falling. Your trip could have been a lot worse. "Did you really think that you could get away?" snarls a familiar voice, undermining your small victory. You look up toward the top of the staircase, meeting the cruel eyes of Mr. Egling. Behind him stand President Davis, the First Lady, and several other members of the House. Your boom, bang, bam, and bonk woke up the entire house. Gah, if only you had mastered the art of silently falling down stairs. The end.
Yay! Oh my goodness. Okay. So, how did you get involved in Choose Your Own Adventure?
So my junior year of college at Hamilton College, I had been given an email from my posse mentor, a professor at my college, who said that someone was looking for aspiring writers. And back then, I was on track to be a creative writing major. I end up being a major. And I've always wanted to write for children, for adults, for literally anybody who will take me. So it was cool to have my professor like guide me toward this person who's looking for writers, and that ended up being my editor, associate publisher, Melissa Bounty at Choose Your Own Adventure. So I sent her some writing samples. I didn't know what Choose Your Own Adventure was, so I sent her writing samples of a short story, sent her a monologue and a poem. I had no idea what I was sending material for. And after that, we had a conversation over the phone because she liked the way I conducted myself over email and the writing samples themselves. She's like, you seem very professional. I want to have a conversation about Choose Your Adventure spies. And so that was sort of the subject of the conversation, and just this cool moment of saying, like, does this inspire you, this subject matter? And what kind of spy would you want to write about? And I chose James Armistead Lafayette as my first spy. Because as I said earlier, Kim, like, he was not known. Like, I never heard about him. But he had all these incredible people in the background and next to him, but he was in the margins. So I wanted the opportunity to tell his story because it was a story that needed to be told and that I was really excited to learn more about. That's pretty much how I ended up writing for Choose Your Own Adventure, and how I ended up writing about these incredible men and women who were in the margins of history, who are now at the forefront where they should be.
So I have both your books here, and I just figured out, because I'm comparing them, there's a map on the back.
Yes.
I sell these all the time. I honestly had never really looked at them. And, you know, I think if I hadn't had two in front of me, I wouldn't have noticed they're different. So each little arrow, does that represent, I guess, a page?
Yeah, so they represent choices. And you'll see that James actually has less choices and endings than Mary Bowser. Mary Bowser has 23 and James 18.
Wow. That's absolutely fascinating. So how do you go about, like, writing one of these? I guess you do a ton of research. And then what?
So research is always a great place to start. And I actually have some books next to me since we're in my room.
Yeah.
The perk of being at home. And so two of the books that I read for Mary Bowser is H. Donald Winkler's Stealing Secrets: How a Few Daring Women Deceived Generals, Impacted Battles, and Altered the Course of the Civil War.
Wow.
It's a good one. Then I have Courageous Women of the Civil War: Soldiers, Spies, Medics, and More by M.R. Cordell. It's a great one. And I have a third one that, of course, escapes me, but it's basically Elizabeth Van Loo's diary. And that one's my favorite to work through because, of course, it's like more of a primary source. It's close material to the person who created, who wrote the letters. And also it was fun to use what Bet was saying and just insert Mary in different parts. So I would just literally write, like, you are next to Bet Van Loo. Like, I would just, like, write in the margins of the little text to constantly be thinking about what Mary would do in those situations. My version of Mary, of course, what she would do in those situations to then prepare to write for Mary Bowser, the Choose Your Own Adventure book. So that was really fun. And after you pretty much do a lot of research and a lot of thinking about what the character does, who she is, what she sounds like, and like I said earlier, like, Mary has a lot more confidence than James. Like, James is very reluctant to becoming a hero. Like, he's kind of just, like, given an opportunity to be a hero, he just rises to it, versus Mary has always been a hero. You know, like I said in the beginning, like, she's the natural foe of every evildoer, criminal.
I love that line. That is, like, my favoriteest line I've ever read in a Choose Your Own Adventure.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, I read these as a kid, and they still sell really well. We keep a whole display of them new, and we are constantly restocking them.
That's the best. So yeah, Mary had a lot more confidence, and so writing her story is, I have to create a list of sort of things that can happen because it's full of choices. So I create a list of events, like historical events from the research. Like, I want to talk about President of the Confederacy Jefferson Davis. I want to talk about Verena Davis, who was pregnant at the time. So you get to actually see a pregnant woman in the text, which is really interesting to kind of see a woman in all of her capacity. So Rita is pregnant. Mary Bowser is just like doing her thing in trees. Arena's older. I say she's about 60 years old. Yeah, she's running. So there's no limitations to what women can do, no matter how you find them. So it's really cool to be able to present that in the book. So I make a list of events that have happened and events that could happen that could be fun to include. So it's always a balance between history and fiction. Like even like I said, like reading the source material from Elizabeth Bett Van Loo, I was writing fictional words, fictional possibilities right in that same text. The same thing happens in the book itself, where some tracks that lead to Abraham Lincoln, that lead to Ulysses S. Grant, that lead to Robert E. Lee, they're more like they have a lot more history embedded in them versus other tracks that have a magical tree, a magical bear. You can kind of see the stark difference, even though sometimes they appear in what would be otherwise conceived as a normal moment. It's like, oh, well, once you add the bear, once you add the tree, it's like, okay, now we're somewhere else. And it's kind of cool to be able to have that liberty and that freedom in a choose your own adventure book. But it's really fun to have all this to work with as a writer, from one choice to the next, because it's a never ending, so a cycle of choice to choice to choice until you get to an ending. So that was exciting.
In the beginning of here, where you talk about how the woman finds her stuff and she has a diamond encrusted mask.
Yes.
Was that real?
That's not real at all. So one of the things that I first thought about was like, what would a spy wear and what could a spy wear to make it interesting? I've always loved masks, and like I didn't know how big of a deal a mask would be, like when this book came out, because the whole COVID-19, the pandemic, but it's just a natural thing that I wanted Mary to have some sort of trademark as a spy. And I like the idea of like the identity. So it's really cool to be able to offer a mask and kind of offer someone an ability to disappear and to become anonymous, or to have a mask taken away and to have that sort of identity stripped in certain points. So it's cool to use the mask to serve a lot of metaphor and to be an interesting sort of prop almost. So that's just something I made up because I thought it would be really interesting as a visual for Mary to have, and to also distinguish her from James.
So what did you find during your research? What was, for both books, what did you find most interesting?
History is weird. I feel like that's the most interesting part, is that history is very strange. I didn't know that George Washington was over 6 feet tall, that he had red hair, that he loved to dance. Like all these things, I was like, what? Like, what's going on? So that was really fun to play with in James. And for Mary Bowser, I didn't know that women would disguise themselves and join wars, like in Mulan. Like it was a real thing women did in the Civil War, to have a pension, to have resources, to have a little bit of freedom. And that was really cool from an empowerment standpoint, to realize that these women weren't just, damsels, and that they were so good at what they did. People didn't even discover them until they were injured, or until after the war. And they went back to their war buddies, were like, hey, actually, I'm a woman. They're like, what? Impossible. And I think it's a really, really funny sort of truth about what people are willing to do to survive, and to show that there's really no barriers when people understand that possibility is really something to have, that is freeing. So that was really exciting to be able to learn through my research. And in both books, I often learned something funny. So the funny thing was George Washington. And then for Mary Bowser, it was just more empowering.
So what are you working on now?
So right now, I'm just having a great time. A bunch of Mary Bowser virtual events. I've been writing a lot of short stories, some short screenplays, just trying to work on the craft and have a great time. But I do have a Choose Your Own Adventure board book that will come out in 2021. So board books are like for the ages like 0 to 2. So they're super cute. And they're actually a take on the classics such as Journey to the Sea and The Abominable Snowman. What else do we have? Something to do with the planets. I'm trying to remember. Oh, Space and Beyond. So we have like sort of renditions of that are built for babies. So people who always love the Choose Your Adventure series as adults can now share that with their youngest members of the family, as well as the middle grade readers for the Spy series.
Awesome. You'll have to come back on and we'll talk about those when they come out. Or, so if you make it up to Atlanta and it's not COVID, you should come and visit us.
That'll be awesome. I love Atlanta.
You should. Yeah, we have an author wall. You can sign it.
Okay. You
Cool.
sold me on both Atlanta and the author wall.
Author wall. Okay, so it's about time to wrap this up. We have both copies in stock if you guys are interested. These would make great holiday gifts, by the way. Everybody should buy them for their young readers or, you know, themselves. They just want to learn some history, whatever you want to do. Thank you so much for joining us, Kyandreia. Thank you. This was fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim, and great questions.
All right. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Stay safe.